$26 million a year. Do you think the cost of protecting former President Donald Trump is justified? Write in the comments section below what you think before you continue, because that's the question I'm going to answer in this video. You should know that protecting current, former, and future presidents is the most important topic talked about today. It is the responsibility of the United States Secret Service to ensure their safety from potential threats and to essentially safeguard democracy. If a presidential candidate cannot safely speak to voters, then it's just not a democracy. However, the question still remains, are the costs justified? How much is too much? Let's dive into the details to find out. Understanding the costs involved in protecting former presidents is important for two reasons. The first, it impacts taxpayers directly. That's you. Every dollar that is spent on protection comes from public funds, and it's important for you to know how your money is being spent. And by looking through and understanding these costs, we can bring financial transparency to government spending. And number two, former presidents still hold an active and crucial role in American politics. The President's Daily Brief, the PDB, is a top secret document produced and given each morning to the President of the United States. It's basically the President's own newsletter, but everything on it is life-threatening or dangerous. Now, generally, the former president still receives the PDB. And not only that, but presidents routinely call and speak to former presidents for their advice and counsel. This means that former presidents know sensitive information about the United States that needs to be protected. So for those of you who are living under a rock, the reason I'm talking about this today is because an attempt was made on the life of Donald Trump, the former president and now a presidential candidate. Imagine this. The Civil War just ended. 1/3 of all money in the United States is fake. It's counterfeit. The country's financial stability is in trouble, and to combat and suppress widespread counterfeiting, the United States Secret Service was created. Now, it started out as a bureau in the Treasury Department, and after the assassination of President McKinley in 1901, the Secret Service was now tasked with the full-time protection of the President of the United States. Now, over time, the Secret Service's duties expanded, and in 2003, the Secret Service was transferred from the Treasury to the newly established Department of Homeland Security. Now, in 1958, the Former Presidents Act was established to provide benefits to former presidents. In 1965, that benefit included the lifetime protection of the former president and their spouse. In 1994, Congress passed a law that limited that protection to only 10 years after leaving the office for presidents. And in 2013, Congress amended that law to once again allow the lifetime protection of former presidents and their spouses, including children under the age of 16. And now you're caught up with the history of the Secret Service. Here's a little secret and the most interesting part about the Secret Service. They protect more than just current and former presidents. They protect the president, the vice president, the president-elect, the vice president-elect, the immediate families of the president, the vice president, the president-elect, and the vice president-elect, former presidents and their spouses, children of former presidents who are under the age of 16, visiting heads of foreign states or foreign governments, other distinguished foreign visitors to the United States, and official representatives of the United States performing special missions abroad, major presidential and vice presidential candidates, and within 120 days of the general presidential election, the spouses of those candidates, former vice presidents, their spouses, and their children who are under the age of 16 for up to 6 months after they leave the office, and anybody the president designates for protection. Now look, the president, the vice president, the president-elect, and the vice president-elect cannot, and I repeat, cannot decline Secret Service protection. They just can't. They cannot decline protection. And everyone else can, but they won't. The components of the cost of Secret Service for protection include personal security, counter-assault, intelligence, surveillance, emergency response, military support, travel and accommodation, communication, and much more. But let's break down the real budget of the United States Secret Service. That's from October 1st, 2024 to September 30th, 2025. Now, this is the most important period because this is the height of the election cycle. Now, Congress has enacted a $3.2 billion, that's with a B, budget for the Secret Service, and it's an increase of a little over $100 million from the last year. Now, of this amount, only $1.2 billion is spent on protective operations. Of that $1.2 billion, $930 million is spent on the protection of persons and facilities. This includes everyone in the list we talked about and buildings. And only $103 million is spent on presidential campaigns and national security events like the RNC and DNC. Now, the Secret Service does not disclose the size of the teams protecting these individuals, but estimates vary from 100 to 300 people for the president and former president. But what we do know is that there are over 3,700 people employed for the protective operations. Now, the Secret Service budget does not disclose or separate the number of agents deployed to protect the presidential campaign or national security events. Now, let's talk about the topic at hand. How much did it and does it cost to protect Donald Trump? First, something to know about why the cost to protect Donald Trump has been so unique. The primary reason is because Trump is an international businessman. The second, Trump owned a lot of the properties where he stayed at, and he had homes in Florida, New York City, and DC. This meant he could decide how much to charge the Secret Service. You see, when the president or former president travels, Secret Service has to go with them. You cannot rely on another government's police or military to protect the president or the former president. The third is that Trump has grown adult children. When Trump was president, this meant that his grown adult children and their families had protection. And with their business deals and travel abroad, this meant more costs for the Secret Service. The truth is, while we can get snippets for certain situations for protecting the former president, even with Freedom of Information requests, we probably won't ever know the real figures, and that's because it's a national security issue. So let's go with the knowledge that we have that has been reported before. It was estimated that when Trump was president-elect, it cost New York City $1 million a day in security. Now, that meant during that period right after the election before he took office. Now, generally, the local government can request reimbursement from the Secret Service. It was estimated that it cost the Secret Service nearly $26 million, remember that number from the beginning, to protect the Trump family at the Trump Tower in New York City every single year. $26 million. Now, it was estimated that when Trump was president, the Secret Service paid him over $2 million to Trump properties. It was also estimated that whenever he visited Florida, it cost the Secret Service about $10 million. All right, let's not just talk about how much it costs to protect Donald Trump. We also have our current president, Joe Biden, and other former presidents like Barack Obama to talk about too. Now, it's estimated that the cost of the Secret Service incurred was nearly $12 million per year to protect Obama when he was traveling. It's estimated that it cost $2.7 million for the Obama's trip to Martha's Vineyard, and when Obama and his family would travel to Hawaii every year, it cost millions of dollars for the Secret Service too. Now, Biden's son, Hunter Biden, cost the Secret Service at least $30,000 per month to just rent a home near his home in Malibu. It's also estimated that Biden's trip to his home in Delaware cost nearly $3 million. Now, in comparison, these costs aren't really that much different. The largest difference is that Trump owned a lot of the properties where Secret Service would stay at, and Trump's family is much larger than both Obama's and Biden's. Why don't we compare the cost of protecting the president and the former president to the cost of protecting high-level business executives? The amounts may surprise you. Apple pays nearly $1 million per year to protect Tim Cook. Tesla pays $2.4 million to protect Elon Musk. NVIDIA pays $2.5 million to protect Jensen Huang. Salesforce pays $3.1 million to protect Mark Benioff. Google pays $6.8 million to protect Sundar. And the largest of them all is Meta. Meta, also known as Facebook, pays up to $25 million per year to protect Mark Zuckerberg and his family. Look, we're not even that far off from how much it costs to protect the former president of the United States. $25 million per year to protect Marky Mark. 25. Public opinion of governmental agencies in the United States have never been great. Last year, a Gallup poll identified only 55% of respondents indicating that the Secret Service does a good or excellent job. I suspect it's not great anymore. Now look, the departure rate for the Secret Service is 48%. That's how many people quit. That's how much demanding a job being a part of the Secret Service is. Now, in the past, both House Democrats and House Republicans have called to defund the Department of Homeland Security, in which the Secret Service is housed under. However, this was related more with immigration rather than the Secret Service. Recently, though, House Representative Chip Roy of Texas called to directly defund the Secret Service. Now, I don't think it's going to happen at all. In fact, I'd argue that Congress will expand the Secret Service and increase its budget even further. Write in the comments section below what you think about whether or not we should defund the Secret Service. Now, the costs of protecting Donald Trump appear reasonable. They're estimated in the $15 million to $30 million range. And we saw that security for a high-level executive can be up to $25 million. The only sincerely controversial issue is the fact that some of this money goes directly to Trump-owned operations. Personally, I think we should increase the budget for the United States Secret Service. The total US budget is over $6 trillion. That means the US government spends $6 trillion with a T every single year. I think we could, quote unquote, spare more than $1.2 billion for the protection of the highest office in the world. I hope you now have a good sense of how much it costs to protect the president, even though we probably won't ever know the real total. The last thing I would want is for a president that isn't allowed to move around the country. They'd stay in the White House all day and be hidden from the public. That, my friends, sounds like a king, and we don't do that here. Now, please click that like button and subscribe for more videos like this, including street quizzes, budget breakdowns, and money makeovers. Thanks for watching, and check out another video on my channel. Seriously, did you know that you were competing against literal countries to buy a house in your neighborhood? Peace out.